Globally renowned photographer and philanthropist Professor Zanele Muholi fearlessly advocates for black women photographers. They hosted the second Black Women in Photography conference dedicated to capturing authentic blackness beyond commercial portrayal.
My name is Zanele Muholi. I am from Umlazi Township, Durban, and we are currently at Market Photo Workshop, which is a school that was funded by Mr. David Goldblatt, who happened to be my mentor, and he gave me an opportunity to study abroad, doc media. So I'm indebted to him for all of this. Involving the black female expert in photography was so key to me because they often touch on subject matter that is not often spoken about. And also they are there to ensure that black, communities are presented in the most positive way. Also to say that the content that they create is not often seen on TV or in mainstream media. So working with them kind of like, brought chills to me because this content is needed. And also these are people who are there to risk their life just for the sake of capturing the images that speaks to us as a community. So now, speaking in August specifically, like August month in general, whether August yesterday, August in South Africa 10 years ago, or so and so, or whenever, we don't have much content that speaks to this Mbogoto that is much praised, that is spoken about, that is historical, that speaks to yesteryear. And even if we were to speak about women in photography, this is not like black women photographers. I'm speaking about women being in this industry, daring, leaving their families behind, capturing the truths and the experiences of other people in their communities. I'm speaking about that. So now to say, let's imagine South Africa being documented specifically, where each and every woman has a camera in their hands and documents these realities of us in these spaces. This is what I'm talking about.
They are passionate about working with women who dedicate their time creating images that will live forever.
I work with great women, and my best friend is Lindega Kampi, and she makes sense when it comes to photography. She's sober-minded, she's a mother, she's a grandmother. She works in the townships from Khayelitsha to Wynberg to West Bank of Cape Town, and you never read any chapter about her, and yet she's an educator. She doesn't have a degree in photography or in art history, but she's the best teacher for any child who's never touched a camera with their own hands. Then I have my sister, who documents, Lizzie Muholi, who documents her church, and she becomes the first black woman to document the Catholic Church in my township or in KwaZulu-Natal, and also Wayena, she's a woman with bunch, and documents other bunches, other women who are at the same church. I mean, my mother grew up in the same church. She has since passed. We don't have images of my mother as a dedicated and religious woman. I have quite a number of people like Shemaine, who's documenting Amabata, Amahlubi, young men who just came from the mountain. So them as the first people to receive young boys as mothers, you understand? So my women are so immediate. I'm not talking about yesterday. I'm not talking theory here. I'm talking about people that I share the same space with, that I wake up with in the same space, that we share a meal together and drink the same water without fail. And those are sober-minded women who are not, they don't subscribe to fancy. So we're going to have a woman's archive in South Africa. We're going to make sure that South Africa has a black women museum. That's what I'm working towards.
Muholi will continue to elevate black women photographers and celebrating unfiltered blackness to remind us of the power of authentic storytelling.
Why it's important for us to document, not only just to document, yes, to preserve the history, yes, to capture the moment, yes, to share these visual experiences or visual narratives, but most importantly, to make sure that we are published. So I'm going to make sure that we have books that captures these moments. So we are working on a publication now that's going to come out on that first week of December. Lindega, Lizzie, Shemaine, myself, and Tembi, we are having a publication of work that we have produced in just the past 5 years, because South Africa needs that book. And I think that it will encourage a lot of other black female photographers to change for the better, or to find ways in which we could collaborate and speak with one voice, where there are no hierarchies, where there is no dependency syndrome that is attached to this project. I have published, and I have my own 7 publications. I collaborate with a lot of artists or creators, and I commission a lot of photographers and also artists. I have a lot of, not only when I speak of like creativity or photography or art as a whole, I'm not speaking about myself for myself. I have my space that is given to me, but now I have created a platform in which people could express themselves through photography, through videography, through film, and also through art. So from Natal to Johannesburg, to Cape Town, to various parts of the country. And also now we're collaborating with people from outside South Africa. We have our collaborators who come from Brazil, who are present at this conference. Also, we want them to have a taste of how we celebrate and commemorate a Women's Month in South Africa. We want them to understand where we come from as a nation, and also want to understand that as much as we are challenged, but we also have a right to celebrate South Africa and make sure that people of the outside world get to have at least a positive imagery of South Africa through our visuals, through our work, and through caring, because we love women. For me, it's very, very important that black women and their children know about their history. And it means that those who are documenting now, working as photographers, they need to reference those who came before them and those who were oral historians who told these stories without cameras, because these stories, they matter to us. And each and every second black woman in South Africa matter. When we speak of like Imbokodo in South Africa, we tend to make it sophisticated, and nowadays it's more about like influencers, and Imbokodo is beyond that, and it exists in each and every province in this country. So we need to make sure that we don't further distort the history of now. The current generation is informed by those who came before us. If we see a woman who is cleaning at the hotel, we see the woman who is a carer for somebody's children, and a woman who sells amagwinya at the corner there, that woman matter, because she makes sure that she cooks those gwinyas for our children, to be okay during that lunchtime. So we owe it to ourselves to make sure that as documenters, as photographers, as visual historians, we get it right to avoid any mess that is not captured properly in mainstream media. So also to say that we change the curriculum at schools, and also to make sure that we have women's archive that is accessible to scholars and also to students and learners in various fields, in various schools or universities. This is our history. So introduce a curriculum of women histories early, from grade 8 until grade 12, because not every woman ends up at university due to whatever challenges that women face in this country. So let's make sure that people know about basic information. If you talk like music, any human being should know about Princess Makoko, for instance, and that chapter should be under visual history, performing arts, composer, etc., etc. Every woman who writes poetry or writes on children's stories should know about Ugcina Mhlophe, for instance. Every woman who reads and dare care to know should know about Dr. Sindiwe Magona, for instance. Those are the women who have shaped, literature, who have shaped the history of this country.
For Morning Live, I am Snazo Noto.